Hey guys, I break down the most jaw-dropping finds from Antiques Roadshow. Only the best, no filler. Plus, I give my take on their current value. What do you think they're worth? Drop your guess in the comments. These are not just photographs, they are pieces of American history. Each of these three historically significant photographs carries immense value due to their rarity and direct presidential inscriptions. The first and most iconic is the only known image of Lyndon B. Johnson being sworn in as president aboard Air Force One, just hours after John F. Kennedy's assassination. Captured by White House photographer Cecil Staunton, this moment marks one of the most pivotal transitions of power in U.S. history. The photograph's unmatched historical significance places its insurance value at $50,000. The second piece is a personal Christmas gift from President John F. Kennedy and First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy to Staunton in 1962. A relaxed, intimate family portrait, it bears a heartfelt inscription from Jacqueline and an unmistakable signature from JFK himself. As an authentic, signed keepsake from the Kennedys, its value is estimated at $25,000. The final photograph, taken just days after Kennedy's funeral, shows Johnson seated at his desk in the White House. Inscribed with a message of appreciation to Staunton, it serves as a powerful reminder of the weight of leadership in the aftermath of national tragedy.
It says, "To Cecil Staunton, with high regards and appreciation."
While its value isn't as high, it stands as an important companion piece to the swearing-in photo. Altogether, these photographs carry an unmatched value, cementing them not just as images, but irreplaceable pieces of American history.
I would put the value for insurance at $75,000. Okay.
What would you pay for a piece of space history linked to one of the most legendary astronaut pranks? This collection features rare, signed memorabilia from the early days of NASA, including autographed photographs of Neil Armstrong, a handwritten letter from Alan Shepard, and a unique connection to the infamous corned beef sandwich incident on Gemini 3. At the heart of the collection are two early NASA-issued photographs, each personally signed by Neil Armstrong and dedicated to the original owner's family. These are some of the earliest autograph images of Armstrong, making them incredibly valuable, with an estimated auction price of $7,000 to $10,000 each. Also included is a humorous letter from Alan Shepard on Ramada Inn stationery, referring to the now famous corned beef sandwich smuggled aboard Gemini 3. This is a one-of-a-kind piece of astronaut history, along with a photograph of the Ramada Inn featuring the iconic "Try Our Corned Beef, It Is Out of This World" sign.
It says, "Carlos, I needed a corned beef sandwich, and all I got was bologna."
Together, this collection captures a personal and light-hearted side of the space race, making it both historically significant and highly collectible. With an estimated total auction value, it stands as a rare and irreplaceable glimpse into NASA's golden era.
As a whole, we'd estimate around $40,000 to $50,000.
Wow.
Thanks, Dad.
What started as a guilt gift from her ex-husband turned out to be a priceless piece of art history. The guest brought in a unique piece of art, a color screen print by Andy Warhol, which she received as a birthday gift from her ex-husband in 2005, but she had no idea of its true significance or value.
I know that it was probably purchased in Philadelphia, and it probably cost around $1,800.
The appraiser, clearly impressed, revealed that it was part of Warhol's first Campbell's Soup series from 1968, a set of 10 different soup can prints based on his iconic 1962 painted series. This series marked Warhol's transition from commercial art to fine art, cementing his reputation by turning everyday objects, like Campbell's soup, into high art. Warhol even joked that he chose soup cans because he grew up eating Campbell's soup as a kid in Pittsburgh. The print was one of 250 in its edition, each signed by Warhol in ballpoint pen and numbered with a rubber stamp. The guest piece, featuring consommé, was in remarkable condition, earning an 8.5 or 9 out of 10.
On the accent above the E on consommé, you can see the pattern of the white screen. That's actually white ink on that, and you can see how it's crisscrossing with the red.
Despite being displayed on a wall, the guest had kept it out of direct sunlight, preserving its vibrant colors and preventing damage. The appraiser then dropped the bombshell. In its current condition, the print was valued.
I would put a replacement value of $50,000.
What? Come on. That's crazy. My goodness. I don't know. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
The appraiser added that more iconic flavors, like tomato soup, could fetch even higher prices, up to $75,000 or $80,000 due to their cultural significance. For years, a striking metal sculpture hung on a woman's porch, occasionally nudged by her dogs. She had always believed it was made by her father, until she saw something eerily similar on Antiques Roadshow and decided to investigate. What she discovered left her stunned. Her cherished heirloom was an original work by the renowned artist Harry Bertoia. This particular piece, crafted in the mid-1960s, is part of Bertoia's celebrated Son Ambient series. Made from beryllium copper, it showcases his signature design, slender vertical rods inspired by the wheat fields of his Italian childhood. But what sets this sculpture apart is the wider rods at the top, resembling cattails.
My dogs, their tail would hit it and would make noise. And my cousin kept saying, "You have it on the porch, you better get off the porch." And finally I said, "It's off the porch."
Far from being just a static work of art, the sculpture is kinetic, designed to sway with the slightest breeze, mimicking the motion of tall grasses. It's also a sound sculpture, producing rich, chime-like tones when the rods are brushed or struck.
Run your hands across it, it makes a lovely sound.
Bertoia was deeply fascinated by the auditory experience of his work, even recording the sounds of his sculptures. Adding to its mystique, the piece is unsigned, a reflection of Bertoia's belief that art should speak for itself, belonging to the world rather than being marked by a name. When appraised, the sculpture's true value was revealed.
At auction, we would estimate this today at $20,000 to $30,000.
Wow, it's pretty good. Almost getting choked up.
Two brothers, lifelong comic book collectors, brought in a collection they had been building for 45 years. It all started when the older brother, who was in the Air Force, gifted his younger sibling a box of comics for Christmas. The next year, he brought another box, and before they knew it, they were on a mission to complete missing issues. Over time, their hobby turned into something much bigger. The appraiser, clearly excited, examined their collection, which included some of the most legendary comics from the early 1960s. They had Fantastic Four #1, 1961, considered the birth of Marvel's Silver Age, Amazing Fantasy #15, 1962, the first appearance of Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk #1, X-Men #1, and more.
We haven't even gone across the bottom. First Ant-Man, first Doctor Strange, first Sergeant Fury, first Thor, first Avengers, Spider-Man 50, first Kingpin.
Despite its rough condition, the Amazing Fantasy #15 stood out as their best buck.
I mean, numerically speaking, it's going to be a 1.0. But as it sits prior to grading, I would say this comic alone is going to be in that $10,000 to $15,000 range.
Yeah.
Their Incredible Hulk #1 was badly worn too.
Even as a 1.0, that's going to be a $4,000 to $6,000 comic any day of the week.
Wow.
The X-Men #1 is in slightly better shape.
That's going to come in right around $7,000 to $10,000.
Oh, wow.
Then came the big one, Fantastic Four #1. At first glance, it looked incredible, almost too good to be true. That's when the appraiser pointed out the extensive restoration. Glued tears, color touch-ups, added paper and spine reinforcement. Because of the repairs, it would grade around 7 to 7.5, but the restoration actually lowered its value.
So this comic in this shape today at auction is $7,000 to $10,000.
Okay.
So as a package today, if all of these were to be professionally graded, conservatively for the group, we'd be looking at $60,000 to $90,000 at auction.
Wow. Okay, that's still good.
Those boxes in your basement might just be hiding a fortune. That's exactly what happened when one man stumbled upon an old framed artwork buried behind a pile of boxes in his parents' garage. At first, he had no idea what he was looking at, but something about it seemed important.
So I pulled it out, and lo and behold, my father would tell me, "Oh, that's the Dali."
As it turned out, the piece had been in the family for years. His uncle once owned an art gallery in Chicago, and his father had either invested in it or loaned him money. In return, this Salvador Dali lithograph was given as a thank you or repayment. Before bringing it in for appraisal, he gave the glass a quick wipe with Windex and dusted off a few cobwebs, but otherwise it was exactly as he found it. The appraiser immediately recognized it as a Salvador Dali lithograph, signed in pencil by the artist. It was a limited edition, numbered out of just 150 copies, made in 1965. The piece, titled Drawers of Memory, was inspired by Dali's famous Venus de Milo with drawers, a surrealist take on the classic Greek sculpture.
It's based on an earlier sculpture as well as an earlier painting that he had made in 1936.
The concept was heavily influenced by Sigmund Freud. The lithograph, published by Sidney Lucas, was in good condition overall, though slightly buckled at the edges. Despite the presence of many Dali forgeries in the art world, this piece was confirmed as authentic. Then came the big reveal. The guest guessed it might be valued around $1,000 or $2,000, given that it was a print rather than an original painting. But he was way off. The appraiser estimated a replacement value of...
I would put a replacement value on this at $30,000.
Are you kidding me? Woo! Already.
What you're seeing here is not just a painting, it's a piece of art history with a dramatic backstory. This Margaret Keane painting, likely from the mid-1960s, has been in the same family for decades. It was originally purchased on a trip to Hawaii by the owner's mother-in-law, who at the time didn't have much money to spend on artwork. In 1991, when she moved in with the family, the painting came along too.
And resolved it, I think it was in 1986.
Oh, that recently?
Yeah. There is far more to the story than we'll go into here, but she was basically locked in a room.
Keane's signature style is unmistakable, big, soulful eyes that seem to hold a world of emotion. But beyond the painting itself, her story is just as fascinating. For years, her husband, Walter Keane, took credit for her work, leading to a bitter legal battle. The truth finally came out in a 1986 federal court trial in Honolulu, where Margaret and Walter were both asked to paint. Walter refused, while Margaret completed a painting in just 53 minutes, proving once and for all that she was the real artist. This particular piece is done in acrylics, Keane's preferred medium, which allowed her to work quickly and produce multiple paintings in a day. Margaret Keane's work has sold at auctions across the world, from Maine to Japan. With growing interest in her art, especially with Tim Burton working on a film about her life, prices could rise. At present, the painting could fetch.
Today, the auction values are $5,000 to $7,000, maybe $5,000 to $8,000.
Okay.
The appraiser's advice: if the owner isn't in a rush to sell, it might be worth waiting to see if the film sparks even more demand for Keane's work.